What's going on, everyone? There's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of drama recently, okay? I don't really follow it too much, just kidding, I love that stuff. Especially when it's from one of my favorite companies ever, Apple. I know it might seem like I just bash them all the time, but they're one of those companies that I follow and I have pretty much all their products. I'm deep in their ecosystem. So to answer a common question of why I always pick on them, it's because I use their products. I'm so invested in them. And I feel like, they're not perfect. No one's perfect. I feel like if I was heavily invested in Android like I used to be, then I would just bash on Android all the time too. So, I say really good things about Apple sometimes, but this video, I'm going to be kind of bashing them a little bit, okay? I honestly think Apple might be lying with some of their statements that they recently said about the iPhone XR. Now, the iPhone XR is one of those super polarizing phones, and I've said a lot of things about it, some positive, some not so positive, but we're going to kind of move through that, and this video is probably going to be not so positive, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I'm not hating on it either. Now, recently, Apple stated, now it's not Apple the company, but it's a person who's very high up in the company. They said that the iPhone XR is the most sold iPhone since its release, okay? Now, it kind of makes sense if I kind of talk about it a little bit, but, I don't think they're being 100% transparent with that statement, okay? For me saying that, you might think, man, this phone's been selling more than all the other iPhones. Like, what the heck? Well, they stopped selling the iPhone 6s, SE, 6s Plus, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. You can't buy those anymore. So really, you're only competing with the iPhone 7 to the iPhone XS and XS Max. Everything in between, the iPhone 10 is obviously not there, and the iPhone XR is still one of the cheaper model iPhones. It's not the cheapest by far. The iPhone 7 is the cheapest. But even with that statement, you might be like, well, it's still selling more than the XS and XS Max. That's completely crazy. Now, here's the thing, okay? The iPhone XR was just released like barely even a month ago, okay? It was like released in like October. And that pretty much makes up for it, That makes sense why the iPhone XR is being the most sold, because it's the newest one. It was more released even after the XS and XS Max. So I think honestly that's pretty temporary, and I'll kind of delve deep in that in a second, but just keep in mind the iPhone XR is the newest iPhone, even newer than the XS and XS Max. So that kind of makes sense why it's the most sold, is because it's the newest. It's only been on the market for like a month, versus the XS and XS Max has been on the market for about 2 months now. That is a little bit of a discrepancy right there, just immediately off the gate. But here's another thing, okay? It's not like Tim Cook said this. It's not even like Tim Cook reassured this. Not even Phil Schiller, the man, the myth, the legend Phil Schiller. He's my dad, by the way. He didn't even say this. If he said it, he could probably say anything and I would believe it. But apparently another person who's very high up there said it. So, it must be somewhat credible, okay? Now, could it be possible that this person, and possibly Apple who's backing it, just say these things to make Apple look better? We all know Apple's not in like the greatest position right now. It's kind of funny because they would just hit that $1 trillion evaluation, and it's like right when they hit that, that's when they started going down. And obviously they're not going anywhere. I love them. I love their products, everything like that. I just think they're in a super strange spot, and I've already talked about that in so many videos. But I just think it's kind of convenient that they would say a statement like this and it end up not even, possibly becoming true just based off what's going on right now with their stock price, their valuation, their company. I just think it's kind of strange. Now, here's the biggest, strangest thing. Like, when I heard this statement, I immediately just questioned it, not even without even thinking about it. And if you guys remember not too long ago, maybe like even like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Apple reportedly, okay, I will say reportedly, slowed down the production of the iPhone XR, okay? And then what that means is for the production models, so their factories, things like that, that were making the iPhone XR, they actually slowed down the production. I think they took out a couple lines of production out of there, and they were basically making less phones or less iPhones. And they actually kind of increased the production of some of the older models. I think the iPhone 8s, possibly the iPhone 7s, they increased the production of those. I don't remember that well, but don't quote me on that part. But they definitely slowed down the production of the iPhone XR reportedly from these reports. Now, why would a company slow down the production of a product that's selling really, really well? That makes absolutely no sense. If the iPhone XR is in fact the best-selling iPhone in the span of time that's been released, or like the last month or so, why would they slow down the production? Even if it's selling more than the iPhone 7, 8, 10s, and 10s Max, like, that's crazy. That's hundreds of thousands of units a month or something. Why would they slow down the production of that? And that's kind of another thing that really made me question this. Why would somebody want to make less money from a product that's selling really, really well? It makes absolutely no sense. They should increase the production of it if people are buying them like crazy. So that's kind of one thing that made me really question this. Like, why would they do that? And here's another thing, okay? The iPhone XR is the cheaper model. It's the cheapest, newest iPhone that came out. Okay, you guys know that's cheaper than the 10s and 10s Max. So that makes sense. So here's the other thing. Could they possibly be making less money with the iPhone XR than the 10s and 10s Max? Now, what I mean by that is they technically have to sell more iPhone XRs in order to make more money than, let's say, an iPhone XS Max. So the XS Max I think starts at $1099. The iPhone XR starts at $749. If they sell like 10 iPhone XS Maxes, they would have to sell like 12 or 13 iPhone XRs. Now my math's not good, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but they would have to sell more iPhone XRs in order to make the same amount of money in revenue as the XS Max does. So even though the iPhone XR is the most sold and being sold a lot, they could technically be telling the truth, but they could also technically be making less money from the iPhone XR than the iPhone XS or XS Max. Now that's kind of a little bit hearsay, like that's not really that big of a deal in my opinion, but that is kind of crazy because they could just be perpetuating this theory like and just saying that the iPhone XR is selling more, but technically speaking it's making them less money than the XS and XS Max. So that's kind of one thing that I wanted to put out there. Also, that's kind of a little not as valid, kind of weird sounding theory of mine, but I had to say that in order to lead up to this bigger point, okay? And this all goes to do with revenue, money, everything coming in for Apple. This is the craziest thing. And this kind of goes into the theory of them possibly lying, because if this was the best-selling iPhone, why would they do this? So in certain countries, I think Japan was one of them, and there were some other countries listed too, or potential countries that are going to do this too. They actually cut down the price of the iPhone XRs in Japan by $100. Now that's American dollars. In Japan, they use a different currency, so I know the Germans got mad at me that one time, so I'm just going to say the Japanese currency they use there. In American dollars, they cut it down by $100, whatever the transfer rate is, whatever. Now here's the thing. Why would a country like that, or any company at all, any country, any company, whatever, why would they lower the price of their best-selling product or their best-selling iPhone? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Why would they do that? If it's selling really well, and now it could be overproduction, maybe they got too many, but even if that's the case, why would they make so many? Why would they stop production? Why would they do all these things, lower the prices, but still have a statement out there that's saying it's the best-selling iPhone since its release? I don't know if that's true, guys. It just kind of makes no sense, because why would they lower the prices here and still call it the best-selling iPhone since its release? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. And I just think it's kind of weird for them to say that, and here's the crazy thing. They don't show their numbers either anymore, and that's a humongous deal. Now, obviously, they're a company. They can do that if they want to. I'm not saying they have legal right to do it or anything, but if you're going to make a bold statement like that, I want to see the numbers behind it. I'm assuming obviously it didn't sell as many as like the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, but there's no denying that smartphone sales have definitely gone down in the last like year or two. Probably more than that, but recently smartphone sales have been going down. Like, nobody's upgrading their phones anymore because they're getting so good. So it's just kind of weird for a company to go out there and say that one of their cheapest, newest model phones are selling really well, when we all know the iPhone XR really isn't even that good of a deal, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion too. But I would love to see the numbers behind their statement so we can back that up, and for them to kind of verify that, because that is something crazy. For them to say that the iPhone XR is the best-selling iPhone right now is like crazy, in my opinion. Now, there's two possibilities, okay? They're either telling the truth or they're not telling the truth, okay? Me personally, I don't know. I don't really think they're telling the truth. They could be. I just don't think the iPhone XR is selling that much either, just because Apple's evaluation isn't going too well. They're kind of in a weird spot. I know they're not going to go bankrupt. I know all that stuff, but they're really, I think, in a way being saved by their older iPhones right now. And I might make a whole video talking about that too. So I think primarily the iPhone 8 and 7 are kind of selling more right now, which honestly they should, because they're cheaper. They're really not too expensive phones, and they're very, very good phones as well. But even if it is the case that the iPhone XR is selling super well and it's selling more than the other iPhones currently right now, I think it could possibly be only temporary, okay? Because like I said, the iPhone XR was just released a month ago. I think in a couple months it could level out, and I could see people not buying as many anymore. That's usually what happens with any product over time. People stop buying it and people go into other products. But the iPhone XR, I think, is one of those things where it's like, it shot up. It's getting really, really high praise temporarily from a few people. I don't think a lot of people are praising it right now, but people are buying it. Stock's going kind of up a little bit. It was. And I think after a couple months from now, people are going to start going for other models of the iPhones as well. So, either way, they should have priced the iPhone XR a little bit cheaper, honestly, in my opinion. They could have sold so many. If they priced it at like $649 even, if it was $599, they would have just sold. Dude, I would have bought like 3 of them. I think the iPhone XR is a good sub $650 phone. If it's less than $650, it's not a bad option. But if it's over that, man, you're really pushing it. And Apple should have known that from the beginning with. But, I guess it's too late to change that now. Hopefully next year they will make it cheaper, but apparently, like people have been stating, including the video I made like 2 days ago, I think next year's iPhones might be a little bit more expensive. So you guys should buckle in. You should invest in iPhones right now so you can go and save some money next year. But, that is pretty much it. That's kind of my take on their statement that they made. I think it's a little weird, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how many people are rocking the iPhone XRs like in a couple months. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is a crazy story? Do you guys buy it? Do you guys not buy it? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll be reading your comments. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel that is also linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could go and check it out. Don't forget, I'm also doing the iPhone giveaway right now. If you want to enter that, all you have to do to enter is click the first link in the description below. That'll take you to a video I made like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and that was pretty much just an entry video. All you have to do to enter is subscribe. You have to leave a comment on that video. Don't leave a comment on, we'll leave a comment on this video too. In order to enter the giveaway, leave a comment on that video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and like the photo and retweet the tweet that's associated with the giveaway, and then you're automatically entered. So if you want to hear those instructions again, click the video, you can go and enter. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.